Do you find your heart pounding when you're getting ready to go to a party or a work event? Or do you avoid certain situations and activities out of fear of embarrassing yourself or having all eyes on you? If so, you may have social anxiety. And while social anxiety can feel isolating, the truth is, it's more common than you might think. In fact, in the US alone, about 12% of adults are estimated to have experienced social anxiety in their lives. That's about 1 out of every 10 people, which isn't even including those who aren't adults. But no matter how common it might be, it can be hard to talk about your social anxiety with others, and even harder to figure out what to do about it. Today on How to Charisma, we're going to be sharing some useful tips and tricks to help you overcome your social anxiety and step into social situations with confidence. Let's look at the first tool. Stop avoiding. It's true that if you avoid situations that give you social anxiety, you won't feel that anxiety. But unless you're planning on living as a hermit for the rest of your life, you're never going to be able to avoid every single situation that gives you anxiety. And even if you're not avoiding going to social settings that give you anxiety, there are subtler ways you might avoid social situations that you might not even realize you're doing. For instance, maybe you go to parties or get-togethers, but you spend the whole evening only talking to the one person you know to avoid talking to other people. Or maybe you feel you always need to have your phone on you when you're around others so that you can pretend to be sending a text message or an email when you feel awkward. But this actually makes you feel more anxious because you subconsciously know that you're using these things as a safety blanket. Let's take a look at this clip from the movie Punch Drunk Love to see an example of avoidance.
Ron used to call us gay boy all the time. Gay boy. I went to sliding class door. Remember we came home, someone himself in the bathroom with a hammer.
At the beginning of the scene, Adam Sandler's character takes steps to avoid going to the party. He goes in and out of the door several times before actually getting the courage to enter the room. I'm sure we've all been in a similar situation to this, but the point is that by avoiding the situation, you're unconsciously putting more importance on it, which will make you stress even more about it. Of course, there are going to be situations like this one where you don't want to go in just because you don't like the people. But if you're avoiding it because of the socializing part, then that's where this is relevant. So if you find yourself trying to avoid a situation, try stepping right into that situation instead. I'd bet we've all learned by now that the best way to remove a band-aid is to do it as fast as possible before you have time to overthink it. So this is the same idea. This will actually reduce your anxiety because you're telling your brain and body that the situation is no big deal to you. Let's look at another trick. Number 2. Develop mindfulness. Oftentimes, the reason people experience social anxiety is because of what is called anticipatory anxiety. This is the anxiety your mind creates in reaction to what it thinks might happen in a social situation. For instance, maybe you're getting ready to go to a work event and you know you're going to have to introduce yourself in front of the room. But as you're getting ready, your mind starts worrying about what will happen once you're there and thinking up worst-case scenarios. You imagine that you'll stumble over your words, start sweating, and even say your name wrong. The anticipatory anxiety over this scenario can make social anxiety much worse in the moment because you've already imagined all the bad things that might happen, instead of going into a situation relaxed and with confidence. Let's take a look at a clip to further illustrate this.
Pat! What are you doing?
I gotta go, man.
Why?
I can't stay. Come on, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have worn this. Veronica's not gonna like it.
Get over here.
Plus, you got a
Don't
tie
worry
on.
about it. You're the guest of honor. You come however you want to come.
In this scene, Bradley Cooper's character worries about a dinner party before it happens. He's concerned that he wore the wrong thing and that he's going to look out of place. His anticipatory anxiety is so bad that he tries to leave the dinner altogether because he thinks it's going to be as bad as he imagined. So, what do you do if you find yourself in a similar situation? Mindfulness, the act of being present without being reactive, is a great way to reduce anticipatory anxiety. For instance, in our first example, instead of focusing on the what-ifs of introducing yourself to your colleagues, you would practice mindfulness by focusing your attention 100% on what you're doing in the present moment. When you're introducing yourself, you would focus on what you're saying. instead of the imagined idea that you might stutter or misspeak. Meditation is a great way to build up mindfulness, and you don't need much of it. A recent study found that people who meditated for 20 minutes a day for only 4 days in a row had a 39% decrease in their anxiety. Number 3. Gradual exposure. If you have social anxiety, it's probably not a good idea to throw yourself into a huge social setting right off the bat and expect that everything will go great. Instead, you need to take baby steps through gradual exposure to social situations. You can start by creating a list of social situations from most to least comfortable. For instance, maybe making small talk with the cashier at the grocery store gives you no anxiety whatsoever, but the thought of giving a presentation in front of 50 people makes you want to throw up. So in this case, the conversation with the cashier would be a 1 on your anxiety scale and the presentation would be a 10. Once you've done this ranking, start actually doing the most comfortable, low anxiety activities and gradually work your way up to those that you've ranked as giving you more social anxiety. Like anything, practice is the key to success. And eventually, you'll find that the situations you thought would give you anxiety become easier and easier as you gradually expose yourself to more challenging settings. Number 4. Shift your focus. Oftentimes, social anxiety can become out of control because you're so focused on yourself instead of others. You might be constantly worried about what someone else is thinking, wondering if they think your outfit looks stupid, if you said the wrong thing, or if you're an uninteresting person to talk to. Take a look at this clip from the movie Adaption to see this in action.
My leg hurts. I wonder if it's cancer. There's a bump. I'm starting to sweat. Stop sweating. I've got to stop sweating. Did she see it dripping down my forehead? Oh, she looked at my hairline. She thinks I'm bald.
We think you're great.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
In this clip, Nicolas Cage's character is obsessing about what his boss thinks of him. He's terrified that she sees that he's sweating, or that she noticed his hairline and is fully expecting her to say something about one of those things. Then, in a surprising turn of events, she doesn't mention either of those things and instead compliments him, saying that she thinks he's great and that his work is great. Truth is, most of the time we judge ourselves harder than other people judge us, and we think that people care a lot about our flaws. In reality, most people really couldn't care less about your flaws, and if they do care, then that might be a sign of insecurity on their part. Next time you find yourself in an uncomfortable social situation, try putting your focus on the other person instead of on yourself. Think about what makes them interesting and enjoyable to spend time with, instead of worrying about how you're coming across. Not only will this help you reduce your social anxiety, but you'll also become a better conversationalist along the way. Number 5. Act confident to be confident. We're often told that confidence comes from within. While this is true, there's not one single way to become confident. There's a number of ways to become confident. One way to do so is to act confident, which in turn will make you feel more confident. Science has actually proven that simply acting confident does lead to feelings of greater confidence. And if you adopt the mannerisms that confident people use, like big body language and speaking with resonance, you can begin to feel more confident too. Let's look at a clip of Amy Cuddy explaining a couple ways to do this.
Power poses are postures that we adopt when we feel really confident and powerful. So we expand, we take up a lot of space, just like other animals do. And, Wonder Woman, great example. This one, Victory, great.
Sounds like what you're saying is that, that woo is from I won. But if I just go woo, I'll feel like I won, whether I did or not.
Well, you've probably heard that when you smile, it can make you feel happy.
Psychologist Amy Cuddy talks with Stephen Colbert about power poses, expanding your body to positions that people in powerful situations use. Just like forcing yourself to smile will actually make you feel happy, even if you weren't happy before. Striking a power pose will make you feel more confident. Try this for yourself by using mannerisms confident people use and see how it affects you. This might mean standing with your feet wide, arms wide, and your shoulders back when you're giving a presentation. You might feel silly at first, but if you stick with it, over time you'll begin to feel more confident and less anxious in social situations. Let's look at the last tool. Number 6. Be kind to yourself. This may sound overly simple or even silly, but the truth is, a lot of people have negative self-talk that they're not even aware of. This can be especially true if you feel like your social anxiety is something shameful or some sort of flaw. Learn to reposition your self-talk so that instead of beating yourself up, you become your own best friend. This will improve your self-esteem and reduce your social anxiety because just like having a wingman gives you confidence, you'll feel more confident knowing that you have your own back. Shift your perspective from social anxiety being a part of you to it just being a temporary issue that you are fixing, because that's exactly what it is. Just like starting a new sport, some things might trip you up at the beginning, but over time, if you keep practicing and challenging yourself, you will realize that the things that used to trip you up don't anymore because you grew past them. Develop more empathy and kindness towards yourself, change your perspective, and lessen your social anxiety as a result. So, there you have it, 6 tools to beat social anxiety. If this video has been helpful in any way, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos from How to Charisma. Let us know in the comments what topics you'd like covered next. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.